What's going on, guys? This is the DeFi Crypto Alliance show where we are doing our best to be the bridge between our fellow real estate investors, entrepreneurs alike, and the cryptocurrency world because, gosh, there is no bigger opportunity over the next 12 to 18 months than crypto. So, welcome along on the journey. We're pumped to have you guys. Corey, take it away.
Corey here. Good morning, Hexicans. Hope you guys are doing good out there in crypto land. Looks like we're still doing great in chain land as far as I thought we'd see a little bit more of a correction coming with that new news that came out, which wasn't really news. It was just the SEC responding. They didn't even need to respond, but we saw a little bit of sell off and then they got eaten up really quick. And we're just kind of hovering in these zones, which is really cool. So you guys or any of your onboards are thinking about some DCAs, this may or may not be some good areas. There's never any financial advice. You can buy bonds, but I'm loving how the ecosystem is looking. I'm loving how everything is playing out. And we're going to have an amazing show today. Well, Dave, we were going to have an amazing show, but Brizology is here, and that's usually the top. So if we're at the top, that means we got to wind it down already. So I don't know, man. But we are going to have an amazing show today regardless, Briz. We love the PH ecosystem. As you guys know, you hear us talk about it all the time. We're always talking about how we're using it, what we're doing with it, blah, blah. We've had Dylan on the show a few times. We've been a Buck on here, I think, once or twice. But we love that ecosystem, man, and the value it brings to Pulse Chain. It is amazing. I have made a lot of money with the ecosystem. I love the PHUX protocol because it's a great way to provide liquidity to limit your downside risk with permanent loss. Once again, it's not financial advice. Go buy bonds. But for us, what we've seen in our portfolios is that we have limited our permanent loss risk, and we've been able to print a lot of cash rewards of the PHUX incentive token. Now, one of the things with their incentive token is that you have to have a pretty good sized bag of the PHUX token to stake to get the full rewards. Also, there's a voting mechanism that's done inside the protocol that rewards bigger users. So let's talk about some options that might be able to really amplify all the things that the PHUX protocol can do for us. And that is going to be on the new platform 2Phux, 2PHUX, to be politically correct. And we got an amazing individual coming on today who is going to really unpeel some onion back for us and tell us how this whole thing is going to work. We got Mr. Fast Abdul on today. How you doing, brother, man? What is going on with you? You look like you're in the boardroom.
I'm in the boardroom because this is a serious meeting, Corey.
That's a serious meeting.
I like it.
Meeting of the minds. And we're gonna talk some bribes, whatever that means. I don't know yet. We're gonna get deep into that. I like bribes typically. I mean,
yeah. I think on-chain bribes are like a good thing. It's something that we should all understand, and we'll get to that, Corey.
I love it. So cool, man. Why don't you just kind of give everyone that's watching kind of a backstory about yourself, who you are. Obviously, now you're kind of doxxed. We see who you are. We've always saw the little icon, Fast Abdul, over on Twitter, on other YouTube shows, talking a little trash, which is a lot of fun. I've always enjoyed the trash talking. So yeah, just get kind of a background of who you are and what you're doing and maybe why you are decided to do this protocol.
You bet. So I go by the moniker Fast Abdul. It was a surprise to a lot of people that I'm not actually a Persian camel trader. My apologies to the Persian camel trader community. No offense intended. I really like the Pulse Chain ecosystem. I'm not an OG day one Hexican. I sacrificed. Oh, good. Okay, we're on the same page. But I sacrificed. That was like my first experience with the Pulse Chain community. It was actually the first time I opened up Telegram. And, I'm prolific, you could say, on Telegram now. So it's like, it was a bit of a life-changing experience. And it was like, wow, like these people are fanatics, right? And I was like, that's cool. Okay, I want to be on the fanatical team. I want to be part of this cult. And that grew from learning to becoming like an admin and several of the bigger, better reputed Telegram rooms in the community, to now launching a project with my partner Yellowcake, who is a day one OG Hexagon professional trader, and all those kind of things, right? So it's been a big trip. There's been ups and downs. I've been there with everybody on the ups and downs, and I really think we're at the up part now. So now's the time where we want to launch a protocol on the Pulse chain. And we've decided to build on top of the PH ecosystem, the PHUX exchange in particular, because we really see opportunity there, and we really like the quality of that product and the quality of the team. It's a separate team. Like our product is called 2PHUX, to use the politically correct term, as you said. But we're
you guys don't give any, and you guys don't give 2 PHUXs.
We give more PHUXs. That's the whole story, and that's why we're called 2PHUX, is because we give more PHUX. We're a separate team from the rest of the PH team. So like we're friendly with the Buck and Dylan and 3 Hours, but we don't work together. It is a different team. So, but they're helpful in making sure that our customers will be safe when we launch our protocol, as our protocols interact in the future. So, those guys, we feel like they have our back, even though they're not part of the team. And we're very happy to build on top of and hopefully improve and drive more people to that ecosystem.
I love that. That's freaking cool. So how did you and Yellowcake end up working together, and what does the team look like?
Well, Yellowcake he's actually kind of my Yoda. So like I got into crypto by myself, and close to the top of the bull market. We're talking like 50K Bitcoin, right? And I was running like trading bots on centralized exchanges, and I thought I was genius, of course, because the number kept going up. And then all of a sudden I wasn't a genius, and I've learned a lot with that that humble attitude, much more than when I thought I was a genius. But Yellowcake, I actually know in real life, and have known for 20 plus years. And I sort of found out through a discussion, like, oh, you're into this stuff too. And he introduced me to DeFi, into like a MetaMask wallet, into doing things in a decentralized manner. And like I've never gone back. Like my Binance account has gone dormant, and I learned from the bot thing, and maybe I'll look at that again one day at the top of the bull market. But really, once you go decentralized, you never go back. And I think that's really what our community needs to push to the rest of the crypto community, is like, this is the way. And so he taught me that. We got into it, and we looked at the Pulse chain ecosystem as the main play, and that's where we're at now. And now we're building on top of that ecosystem. And then as far as the rest of our team goes, we're working with mostly Ukrainian devs, some guys I've worked with on other things, and they're solid, and they're very focused, and they're real people. We speak to them every single day. We have a video chat just like this, 10 a.m., 5 days a week. We talk to our devs. We go over the problems. We go over the solutions, and they're dedicated and they're smart. So we're happy to work with Ukrainian people on this project.
Very cool. In fact, when the Ukrainian war broke out, one of the only ways some of the people that one of our friends had worked with that had done a bunch of stuff for him, they reached out and said they were trying to get out of the country for fear of their lives. All the males had to join the war. And of course, like if you didn't feel like you had a stake in it, you might have some certain feelings about that. And so the only way they could get out was by bribing the guards at the border with Bitcoin, because the Ukrainian or the, I can't remember, whatever the money they used at the time had all gone to crap.
Yeah,
and so that was kind of a cool way to be able to, or I should say, we may or may not have facilitated some things there. And it was cool to be able to give some people some options in that respect. So we're about it. We're about helping people in that respect. That's cool that you could be able to kind of lend a hand as well. So yeah, tell us about Two Phux. How does it work? Where did the idea come from? All that type of stuff.
You bet. So this actually wasn't the protocol that we were planning to build. Like Yellowcake and I did, like, the deep dive of all deep dives on protocols on Ethereum that could be forked and what was missing on the Pulse chain, like what puzzle piece wasn't there. And we looked at a couple other things first very, very closely, to the point where we were actually kind of started work with our devs. Like we had our team, it's the same team, obviously. And, that was fine. But then we found the PH ecosystem and saw how well it was managed and how it was moving forward. And we decided, like, no, this is the way. And then the missing piece for like what the Pulse chain doesn't have, like of all the big protocols, probably the biggest one that is not on the Pulse chain or doesn't have representation is something called Convex. Now we're forking something called Aura Finance, which is a fork of Convex, right? And those are some of the very biggest protocols. Convex in particular is like, top 20 on Ethereum, right? Like, so we're talking $2 billion almost total value locked in that protocol. Aura has like pushing $500 million total value locked in the protocol. These are big things, and they're pieces that weren't represented on the Pulse chain. Now, we've since found out why. It's because it's really hard. Like, these are not simple protocols. We're talking dozens of contracts inside the protocols. Like, it's a big piece to bite off. It's going to require serious audits and things like that. But fortunately, we started this about 6 months ago and didn't tell anybody. So we're well into development. It's not, we didn't announce like, oh, we're doing a sacrifice and, pay us. So, like we want to develop a product. No, like we're pretty much done developing a product. It's months away, including audits and things like that. So we're happy to bring it forward to the community at this stage, where it's very much a real thing that will happen, and we're coordinating with how it will interact with the ecosystem as we speak. As far as the protocol,
well, really quick question there. Yeah, how did you guys choose to fund this venture then?
Well, at this point, this venture has been funded personally. So, and that's it. So Yellowcake and I have taken care of it up to this time, and we're and we're happy to do so. And there was a strong consideration for just having that be the only way that the project would be funded. But just looking things over, we've decided to look a little bit further, because we want a stronger community and we want a stronger project. And for that reason, we've decided to go with a sacrifice option, where of course people will be sacrificing for points. And a political statement that's displayed on our website, which is 2phux.io. We decided there was a benefit, and there would be a benefit to the community of looking into that. And as I explain how the protocol works, I think it'll be fairly obvious where you can see how that benefit would come into play. Of course, I'm going to mince my words a little bit because the nature of the sacrifice process, but I think I'll make it clear that this is not like some other sacrifices we've seen in the community. It's capped, for one. It has defined percentages.
That. Yeah, I love that.
It's key.
Love that you're capping it.
The PH guys, the Tetra guys who I've worked with on other things, like they've used this capped concept. And when you narrow down, like, okay, how did capped sacrifices do? It's a completely different set of numbers from the uncapped. And my experience in those sacrifices, and I will gladly say I sacrifice for the PH products, and I'm very happy with my sacrifice. Those sacrifices look very different from other sacrifices. So much more like the ICOs of old, get it at the right time, like the very best ones. So, this is something we've decided to do, and we're doing it in a way that we feel is a benefit to the community, and that is very fair. And I'll go into some detail on that in a bit.
Really quick, Mike has a good question here. Is there an individual wallet cap as well to prevent a handful of whales for doing the entire sacrifice?
That's a good question, Mike. And the answer is no. There's not an individual wallet cap. We're happy to have whales in the ecosystem. However, our sacrifice is made in such a way that we welcome the whales, but we protect the little guy. And just one of the factors that we do that with is when you look at something like the Phux sacrifice, there was a 250% volume bonus for the top dollar on the top wallet. So like 250%, like that's huge, right? So the difference between the big guy and the little guy potentially is that 250% mark. Now that
was millions of dollars too, like to get up there. It was retarded, numbers. 6 figures didn't even get you close to that.
Exactly. So it's like, you're really talking the elite of the elite. And I know there was some, magic carpet ride stuff where people are pooling together and, that's a bit of an equalizer, but we decided to just make it more fair across the board. So we're acknowledging that like whales exist and yet we want whale participation in our community because, those are often the stakeholders in the community. You're talking founders of protocols and things like that. Like those are very much people that we want to interact with on a daily basis. But we've set that volume bonus at a maximum of 25%, right? So the top dollar on the top wallet gets a 25% versus a 250%. So 10x smaller than on PulseX. So it's much less of a tax on poor people. You can put in $1,000 and the guy who put in $500,000, yeah, he's going to get proportionately more, but not that bad. I would hope that. And of course, we're talking about points here, but I wouldn't want to have people receive vastly less points with smaller sacrifices. And part of that is that people can, do what they're comfortable with. We want people to participate with the protocol, whether they sacrificed or not. So like, it's not, the sacrifice is a good concept. And I think we'll be able to add that up as to why it's beneficial. But definitely this is for everybody. The sacrifice is built for everybody. And the protocol is built for everybody to use, whether they sacrificed or not. And I think that's a key thing to understand.
Cool. I like that. Yeah, go ahead and explain how the protocol works.
Okay. So we're going to do like just a light dive on the PHUX.io exchange, just so we can understand where this comes in. Now, first off, like PHUX.
And I don't know if you'd like to, you can share screen if you want to like kind of take us through some of that, or I can share screen if you want. I can kind of take us through, have some visuals if that'd be helpful. You tell me.
Oh, sure, Dane. Why don't you pull up a screen and we can talk about and look at specific things, and then that way I'm kind of walking you guys through it too. We'll be on the same page.
All right. You want to go to Phux first?
Yeah. Let's go to Phux.io, PHUX.
It's funny because the PHUX protocol, it does have some complexities to it. It took me a little bit to get my head wrapped around it with like the 2.5x multiplier, how that works to get up to where you are, the 2.5. And it did take some time for me of just reading. I mean, I'm a peanut brain, so like I have to really go over something a time before I go, oh, I get it now. It's not going to be one time. It takes me a few. So this was one of those instances. Yeah.
No, I'm with you. And like with this kind of thing, like really you have to do it yourself. And, I think this is the way to do it is to actually experience it, move around a little bit of money, make a little liquidity pools, and then you'll know how to do it. Right. But yeah, without pressing those buttons, it's pretty hard. So Dane, first off, let's press that little sun button in the top right there. Take us off the bright screen.
Oh, sure.
All right.
There we go. See, look how much cooler that is. It matches my suit, eh? Okay, very good. So this takes a minute to populate because it's starting to have a lot of pools on here, but it's a very solid system. The first thing to understand is this is a fork of Balancer V2, which in my opinion is like the most advanced technology as far as DEXs go on Ethereum or in crypto, period. If you know how to use this, you know how to use Balancer, which is awesome. So like this learning experience is something that will carry on to other chains, and Balancer's on several chains. One of the really interesting things about PHUX and Balancer versus other pools is that you can have more than 2 tokens. So where on like Uniswap, you can only pair 2 tokens, and often on like V2, it has to be like a 50-50 mix. On PHUX, you can have multiple tokens. I think it's like, 6 or more can be in one pair. Now that's not always
8.
8? Yeah, there we go.
I
Yeah,
think
so
it's I might be mistaken. Maybe it is 6. But yeah, go ahead.
I think you're right. You don't see it very often, but yeah, I think 8 is the number. It's not practical to have 8 in most cases, but yeah, it gives a lot of options. But the option that I really like, that I actually think is more important, is that there is an option to have different percentages of a token in a pool. And the best ratio that for like daily use, I find, is 80% of one token and then 20% of another token. Or a combination of other tokens, could be 3 tokens in total. But what that allows is for a community to put up 80% of their own token, and only 20% of the token, the very liquid token, something like Pulse or USDL or something else in the community that is getting traded a lot. To have it paired with that at only a 20% ratio allows them to use less extra funds. They don't have to sell as much of their community token to make this big value in the pool, right?
Can you hear, Corey?
Yeah, I can hear. You can't hear?
Oh, it's my audio. Keep going. You're good.
Okay, cool. So like, yeah, the 80-20 option gives good options for the community as far as that goes. You're having trouble uploading there, Dane. Do you want to switch to me and I can upload?
Dane, can you hear?
We lost Dane.
I think Dane. Yeah, can you hear me, Faster Bill?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. I think you and I are good.
You can hear me. I just want to make sure. Dane's got, and he's gone.
Okay.
And he's gone. So we'll give him a minute to come back. You are you able to present? You can share a screen down there at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be able to. Yeah, go ahead.
I've just queued that up. If you bring it forward, right. I think you have to do that. Yep. There we go. Okay, so here we go. We're on the PHUX exchange, and this is the pools page. So we can see where the pools are and what the mixes are in the pools. So let's look at something interesting. And I like this feature here where you can filter by token.
I do too. I always use that because it's whatever I'm interested in, right? You can go to the filter.
Exactly. Yeah. And what's in my bag. And if you connect your wallet, which I don't have connected here, it will actually show you the tokens in your wallet and which ones, which pools they correspond to. So there's pretty good functionality. I think it's pretty heavy as far as the protocol, having putting a lot of data onto your computer. So it does slow things down, but it is very functional in how it works. So we're just going to pull up this pool with Coast, which is one of my favorite ones right now to display, just because we're talking about stable coins in this case. And this is something, I think for the type of guys that you talk to on a daily basis, Corey, in real estate, where they're going to be interested in solid things like pools that are just stable coins. Here it is. So this is Coast paired with USDC. So Coast is a native to Pulse chain stable coin, so it's worth $1. And then the USDC that it displays here is USDC brought over from Ethereum. It's worth $1, and they're paired together, right? So the impermanent loss is little to none in this case. Man, really slow today. So this pool, we can see on the right here, it pays between 30 and 71%. So that's on a stable coin pair, with little or no impermanent loss. That's tremendous. Now, the thing that I'd like to point out is that there is a large difference between 30 and 71%. And when we look at the breakdown, which we can see in this menu right here, right, with this little pop-up, it's, oh, sorry, we're bouncing to the other screen now. Internet's must be a lot of traffic on the Pulse chain.
I noticed the same thing. Yeah, with all the pH products, with everything picking up the last week or so, it just seems like it's taking a little longer with everybody wanting to use it. Yeah.
Richard did that shout out yesterday on Twitter. Like he actually like pointed people at pH products, which he never ever does.
I know, it's so good.
Like the most he's ever done that I've ever seen in the past, he said like Alex from Hedron is a smart guy, like quote unquote. And this was actually just like, go here, go to this website, go to fiat.io, go to famous.io. Yeah, he explained it, and he had a purpose. Like, yeah, he's daring people to short Hex or other RH coins, but like, yeah, he pointed directly at their protocols. So that really made Yellow Cake and I very happy. It was like, okay, yeah, we're building on top of this stuff. It's
confirmation.
It's that. So
and Ted, you might be right. It might be a 6 of max. I could be wrong about that. So I just want to clarify that.
Oh yeah, no, don't worry. I don't think that's going to affect anybody in the near future. That's not the way to go. Okay, you know what, guys, we're failing on the sharing the screen, so I'm just gonna give a verbal presentation. I'm sure the smart guys in the audience will understand. Oh,
I've got it.
You got it. Okay, nice. Okay, so if you could scroll down, Dan, so we can see the percentages. Okay, and then just hover over that little magic thing there. There we go. So we can see like it shows the APR from trading, but then at the bottom it shows the APR from the boosted PHUX yield, right? Which is where almost all the APR is coming from. So between 26 and just about 67% is coming from the APR from being a gauged PHUX pool. Now, gauged just means it's incentivized by the PHUX token. So that difference between the 26 and 67%, that's determined by the boost, right? And there's up to a 2.5x boost. And like, and this is, percentage wise, this isn't the highest paying pool. We're just looking at this because this is all stable coins. So it's like a no lose situation. Some of those pools go up well over 300% APR on occasion, which is tremendous. But like on this pool, yeah, you're going between 26 and 67%. And in order to do that, you need to have staked what's called prime Phux. Now that is PHUX paired 80% that and 20% with Pulse. And then staked for up to 1 year, and you get the best boost with the 1 year formula inside the protocol, and that will give you up to the 2.5x boost. The problem comes in that the amount of basically PHUX that you would need to have staked is so great to get the maximum boost in most cases, and it's a very complicated transaction. But most people won't be able to get close to that. And they're, especially once they start to have, when you move, if you're moving $10 around, you see different numbers, but when you're moving around thousands of dollars, like real money, you'll have so much trouble getting close to that boost, especially on these big pools. So what 2PHUX does, our protocol, is we maintain a giant pool of permanently staked prime PHUX that's locked forever inside our protocol. It can never be sold. Once it comes over, it never goes out. So that's there's a safety mechanism there, and it keeps building.
So you're going to be removing a significant prime Phux from the market, never to be seen again, if you will.
Very, very significant, Dane. Yeah, and it doesn't get burned. It's we use it forever, but it can never be sold as PHUX again. Right, so that token never hits the market
into something else.
Well, it's a little bit more complicated than that. What happens is that what they call prime PHUX, which is actually an LP token because it's the pair of 20% Pulse and 80% PHUX. When that comes over to our protocol, and the protocol automatically gets more over time to the point where it becomes a real powerhouse, it gets transformed, wrapped, if you will, into what we call prime 2 PHUX. Now, and which is a separate token. That's a token in our ecosystem. And the prime 2 PHUX token, you can buy and sell that. You can stake that on our protocol to get the fees that would be similar to the prime PHUX fees if you had staked it on phux.io. It's set for where on PHUX, you have to lock that for a year to get the max benefit. With 2PHUX, we don't have that in that, like, it's the tokens are inside the protocol. We give you the receipt token that gives you access to the yield. There's no, you stake it, but there's no timeline where you have to stake it. So it's kind of like almost like a Rocket Pool fork or a Lido. It's like a liquid staking token, whereas you can choose to get the yield or you can choose to sell the token. You'd otherwise be locked up if you'd done it on PHUX. So there's a bit of an advantage there in having more options. But no matter what, once it comes over to our protocol, it is inside the protocol. And then that wrapper token that gives access to the yield is the only thing that can be sold. With no timeline or lock attached to it. So, the protocol keeps building and building. And because it keeps building, we'll end up with a very, very large pool of prime PHUX, which is going to give people a very good opportunity to get likely a much better boost they could get on their own. Now, as I mentioned, the biggest possible boost is 2.5x. So that's taking you from like 50% APR to 175% APR, for example. Now, it won't always be that because the equation's complicated and it depends how many people are participating and things like that. But it will very likely be much greater than most people will be able to get on their own. And it's a very simple thing in that if people know how to provide LP liquidity on PHUX, all they have to do is move that LP token to phux.io, and just our front end puts it in. You get to use our giant pool of prime PHUX at your leisure, basically. So it's there for you. We have a big pool. You can use our big pool, and it's probably, unless you have 500,000 plus of prime PHUX staked for a year, ours is bigger.
Okay, I like that.
Riding on the back of a whale.
Yeah. Do people need to bring their prime Phux over in order to participate on 2Phux?
They don't, in that, like, we'll have our own pool, so they can bring it over, and when they do, they can convert it into prime 2Phux, which will give them the option to sell it, and we still have it in the ecosystem. It still makes us stronger, or they can stake it for very substantial yield. That will be a pool that's very closely monitored, and that will very likely have some really good yield options. So we're definitely on top of that. But people don't have to do that.
Those two assets should be pretty close in price, would you think?
Very close. And that brings up a very interesting point, Corey. I'm glad you caught that.
The next, if I'm providing liquidity with those two tokens.
Yeah. So when we look at like a protocol like ours, one of the most interesting pools that we'd likely be interested in making, and one that we would hope would get a gauge on the Phux.io exchange. And just to be clear, handing out gauges, like the opportunity to have incentivized pools, that's 100% up to the phux.io team. That's not our choice. We just work with the pools that do have gauges. But this pool that would be something that we'd be interested in having would be pairing prime PHUX with prime 2 PHUX, and the cost of one prime 2 PHUX is one prime PHUX, meaning that they should be of equal value. So it's like on Balancer, the equivalent thing, they actually call it a stable pool, even though it's not stable coins, because you have these two things that should be worth the same amount. But unlike stable coins, they'll move up and down with the market in general. So you can be involved in something that should have little to no impermanent loss. That
also have the upside.
Will have an upside, right? So
I love that.
It's a solid play, and I'm very interested in that play. And like because we're new to the ecosystem, and even PHUX is relatively new, there will be some volatility, so there's going to be some opportunity. So if you see either of those two things trading it below the other, that's opportunity knocking, and that's your opportunity to get into that pool and make some what I consider to be reasonably safe yield and still have access to the upside of the market volatility.
That's very cool. Interesting. Do you guys have, so I'm really curious, add to my understanding if there's more that needs to be added. I know that the equation of how the 2.5 times multiplier is calculated is complex. But generally speaking, a way big oversimplification of that is that generally speaking, you want to have similar amounts in a pool and 2 pools in order to get as close to the 2.5 times bonus. So for instance, if I'm in the, let's say, so I've got to have my prime Phux, as things stand right now on PHUX, I've got to have my prime Phux, and I've got to own, the percentage is less important as long as they're similar. I've got to, let's say I have 1% of the prime Phux pool. Well, in order to get the 2.5 times multiplier, let's go to that CST USDC pool. I've got to own 1% of that pool as well to maximize those out. To get close to the 2.5 times multiplier. Do you guys, what do you have working in the background, or is there anything working in the background to automate and balance the positions in the pool to be able to get it? Is there anything like that, or is it just, hey, we have one of the largest prime Phux pools, period, and we're going to use that to go and get the best that we can?
I think what we're going to see, like right now, because everything is kind of new, like there's going to be some opportunities, like you said, where like you could have, a relatively small amount, though we're still, when we start talking about these big pools, it's big numbers, but you could have a relatively small amount of PHUX and have an advantage. But as things progress, it'll become more and more of a whale game. And this has been like, there's history of this. This has been seen on Balancer. They actually had something they called the Balancer Wars. That was a big deal of whales trying to fight for control of the pools and which pools got the most yield and how to access that yield. And that's like, there's, that was a big deal in the last cycle. And before that, it was Curve, which is, Balancer's kind of a fork of Curve. Convex works with Curve. It's, like people have been fighting over these pools and how to control them. So like for things like what we're doing with 2PHUX, like right now, like we're offering an opportunity to get in early on, having some of that control. But like when we start looking at 2 years down the road, like, yeah, it's going to be a whale game, right? And that's going to be who's controlling these pools. So like there's nice things where a guy can slip in and move a couple bucks around, especially Pulse Chain with the low fees. Like, there's some interesting opportunities. You could be in 20 different pools, for $100 each. And, sometimes that can work out, but, it's going to change over time. So we're making an early play earlier than the equivalent protocol that works with Balancer, which is called Aura did, to take control of a part of this ecosystem so that our users can direct the voting power as well as the yield power and access that with a big advantage. So like what you're talking about kind of works, though the math isn't exact. It's gonna stop working, or it's gonna stop working unless you got serious bags of PhDs.
I can see that happening as we grow. Yep.
And then you're also sacrificing opportunity potentially. Not that like the PHUX or the prime PHUX token, like those are good tokens, they pay yield, but you're with to access that, you need to access the boost, you need to stake it. And it almost doesn't make sense not to stake it for the full term of a yield of 1 year rather. And it's locked, like you actually can't remove it. So we offer an opportunity to not have it locked, to get that same advantage, except for with likely, unless you're a serious whale in that ecosystem, a much larger pool that will be operating. And our pool keeps growing, and this happens automatically. The protocol will keep building and building and building. If you don't mind, Dane, could you go to aura.finance?
Absolutely.
AURA.finance.
AURA.finance.
You bet. Now, this is the protocol that we're forking. That's a fork of Convex, more or less previous. And it's the one that works with Balancer. Now, it's not that old. Like I don't think it's even 3 years old now. And it has tremendous power in the that Balancer ecosystem. So this is just the front screen, and we don't need to go into the app to understand what's going on here. But we can see on the right, okay, $395, $95 million total value locked, which, for kind of the bull market just starting, in my opinion, that's fairly impressive. But what's really impressive is that center number. It's 52.30% of VE BAL shares. When I started looking at this, it was around 30%. And I thought that was impressive. And it keeps growing and growing and growing automatically. And it's tremendous. That means that these guys control 52.3% of the voting power on Balancer.
That's
and
insane.
Balancer, yeah, it's like $1 billion in TVL on Balancer, and these guys control 52.30% of the votes. So, like, are those votes worth money? I think they are, right? I think on the PHUX fork of Balancer, which, by the way, is far and away the most successful fork of Balancer, is on the Pulse chain right now. There's a bunch of other forks of Balancer. This one is the best one. And with the Pulse chain being vilified, with RH being vilified, it's still like the best fork of Balancer. So yeah, keep an eye on this. And it's the second, like PHUX is the second biggest DEX on Pulse chain, second to only to Pulse X. And every other DEX below it, if you added up their total value locked, it doesn't equal what PHUX has. Like, they're pushing $28 million now, and it's still very early in the game. So for us to build on it and try to do what Aura's done here and get that voting share, it'll like be VE-PHUX share. We're very interested in that. And we think anybody with eyes should be looking at this and understand that these votes are worth money. And we have a way to capitalize on that. And we have a way for people big and small, from whales to little guys who are moving around $100 in LP, to capitalize on that and benefit from basically us pooling together inside a smart contract, which is important. Like, don't make this deal with, your buddy, like, to pool your PHUX. Do it with a smart contract. And we're going to have an opportunity to, one, let people use our giant pool to boost their yield. But then the thing that is actually probably long-term is going to be worth more is our protocol, Phux, is going to have the opportunity to direct that giant pool of VE-PHUX votes. So, we'll own a huge quantity of the votes in the ecosystem. Could we go back to the PHUX site, please, Dane?
And for clarification, Fast Abdul, we're going to have some ink farms inside Phux that will be tapping into Phux. I just want to make sure for Briz is still in the show, that he's able to. He's an ink maxi, by the way.
Okay.
Just for clarification.
Well, we can. There's some ink pools on PHUX, or pools that have ink in it, and I have a way to make them better. So let's click on that VE-PHUX button on the right-hand side, right center. There we go. Okay, so this is where the votes go, right? So this is why this token's so cool. So PHUX, the votes end up being directed by the holders of the stake Prime Phux, right? And of course, our protocol, Phux, will have more. We'll have much more than the average person. So we're going to direct much more of the votes. So off to the right-hand side, you can see the percentages, like on that Shelby Apples pool, 10.13%.
One of my favorite. Sorry, go ahead.
That's the percentage of votes going to that protocol, right, of the total PHUX votes. And that just directs the yield. The votes you're only voting on one thing. The only thing anybody's interested in. It's not a boring DAO. It's an interesting DAO because you only vote on money. People are voting money to that pool, right? So Phux is going to have a huge pile of Prime Phux, and we're going to direct where the votes go. And the people who decide where the votes go will be the holders of the native Phux token. So basically, the initial holders are going to be the ones, relative to the percentage that they hold, that decide which pools get the votes from the giant pool that we operate. So I think that's something that will be directly connected to money. Some people are going to sleep on it, but like, if you have a bag on PHUX of LP, or you want to, and you want to make the big yields, and like, I mean, they're really big yields. Let's look at the loan token pool. Let's scroll down to the one that has the loan token in it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, it should be. It'll be a waste now.
And with these votes, man, it's like, unless you're a large player, like a really large player, you can't really make a huge dent in the system. I mean, I'm not small, I'm definitely not large, but I come in here and I vote, and it's like I don't move enough weight around in here to change so I stopped voting because of that. You end up losing interest because you don't really
not meaningful.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I'm not small either, right? But like some of these whales in here are really moving the needle on some of these pools, like the Shilby apples. I know one guy, who that's his pool, and he's in there and he moves the needle every time. He lives out in Puerto Rico, and it's that is his pool. And so I'm never going to compete with that guy. I can't unless you guys come to the picture. You guys can start throwing some weight around because you guys might have more weight in him now, so you can actually move the needle in certain directions. So just wanted to kind of put that out there.
Yeah, no, and you have it exactly right, Corey. It's gonna become more and more of a whale game like that, where like you have to own like a huge quantity to be able to move that voting needle. So let's go ahead and click on that loan pool so we can take a look at the APRs. So like, yeah, right now, like, okay, maybe you move the needle a touch with $1,000, but 2 years from now, yeah, it's not going to make a dent. So we have 83 to 119% APR on this pool. We can see 24 to 60% with
from the boost,
from the PHUX tokens. If this pool receives double the votes it does right now, and it has a relatively small percentage of the votes, I forget because I'm not good at numbers, but it was like, like 2% or less. If it goes up to 4%, then that APR, the 24 to 60, will change to 48 to 120, right? As long as the pool is relative to the pool. And the math isn't exact, but as long as that pool stays the same value of $132,000, which it is right now. Now, of course, as when the APR doubles, likely more people are going to go into the pool and it goes down. So there's a bit of a catch-up game, but having an edge in
the
exactly. Yeah. It balances relative to that, but there are opportunities and there are like opportunities sometimes just for 1 week or 5 days where you can get like, I've seen 600% APR or more on here on like some tiny pools that just people are sleeping on, and they get 2% of the vote on like, a pool that's $100,000. And then, it suddenly jumps to like 250% APR for a couple of days, right? Like it's a huge advantage for the people who are on it. So us being able to direct those votes and our users getting a proportionate amount of the votes that they can direct. Let me say that the people who should be looking at the voting part of the protocol are people who have serious interests in the community with liquidity pools. Like if you're a protocol founder or you're a serious whale, don't sleep on Phux, because this is going to be what decides what happens with these pools. And this is going to be what determines which pools get the highest APR. So like having a token in one of these pools, like having your community's token in like an 80-20 pool on the PHUX exchange, and having your community be able to get yield in PHUX tokens. They're getting yield in a token that's not your token that they could sell, or they could stake, or they could transfer it to our ecosystem because this token has value. But they don't have to sell your token. So think of the fundamentals for a community that has something like that. And let's go back to the pools page, Dane. I have a good example I like to show people.
All right.
So on the APR, you can press on the APR and it will actually sort the top APR pools. Okay. And this, I'll give you guys a little tip, is it only sorts the top pools. Like the first page only shows the highest pools by volume. So you are missing some pools when you just sort by APR on this page. So a little deeper dive is required. Okay. Let's take a look at that real big pool right on the top there. Okay. So I don't know anything about this community. I'm aware that they're in the ecosystem. I think they're solid. I believe RBC is a real big coin, and I think it's a meme coin. I don't know what it does, but like these guys have embraced this. They've been very consistently one of the top 5 pools, and I've been monitoring that for some time now.
I've noticed that too. Yeah.
They're solid in that regards. So, and they're doing this for the community. Like the founders aware of what's happening, and they're participating in this on purpose. So when you scroll down to see the APR, there we go. So 86 to 213%, and it's coming almost completely from it being a gauged pool. Like there's only 2% that's coming from actual trades in the ecosystem. So it's all about the votes that they have here. So these guys have directed votes at substantial cost in PHUX towards this pool. Their community can access this. Instead of selling the RBC token, you can pair it 80% RBC and 20% other tokens, put it on to PHUX and get this APR in PHUX tokens and not have to sell your RBC tokens. This is a huge fundamental for any community. So for people to be sleeping on this, like, when you have a token and you have big liquidity pools and you have it on PulseX and you don't have it here and you could have a gauged pool, well, you kind of have to think about your people with things like this, because why not incentivize people in a serious way? And I know there's other incentives, like you get, there's the fees on PulseX, et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't touch this, not anywhere close, right? Especially when we start talking numbers like 200%, like that's rich guy money. Like normal investments don't pay 200%. And when you're getting paid 200% to provide APR. Now, of course, most people aren't going to get to close to that 200% range unless they use something like Phux, where they have access to our large pool. And we don't guarantee that, that they will get the max boost. It just seems likely to me, but with my understanding, they'll get a substantial boost, what most would get by themselves. Like, this is something that every founder should be looking at. They should, like, regardless of the political situation, why would you not want your people to have this yield? So that's something where to PHUX, we're reaching out to, the founders that we like in the community, and we're tapping them on the shoulder and saying, guys, don't sleep on this. This is real. And this will pump your tokens, or at the very least gives people a reason not to sell your token. Another reason on top of some other very good reasons for a lot of tokens in this ecosystem right now. So, well, I'd love to hold my bag and make 200% while I hold my bag. Why would I not want to do that?
Right. Absolutely. Right. And especially with your impermanent loss, if it's an 80-20 pool, it's limited in a certain fashion. And plus, if the APRs are high, like you should be out earning the impermanent loss you may experience.
Totally. And then with those stable pools that we looked at before, like the Coast pool with up to 75%, like if you guys are thinking of onboarding people into the ecosystem, like you got a real estate guy who's got, 2 million making 3% in his bank account, and if they're nervous, be like, okay, fine, come on over, just do this LP pool that will pay you up to 75% on dollars, US dollars, right? Like that's seems
amazing.
That's actually been a really good carrot for some of our guys that are more hesitant. It's like, look, just come in and try this pool out and you'll see how it works. And then once they kind of wet their whistle and wrap their head around it, then then they start to get the game and want to try other things.
I do want to shout out Crypto Sloth real quick. He gave us a $10
bribe. Well done,
thank
sir.
you so much, Sloth man. As always, we love what you do for the community. But he's asking you, man, here's a bribe. When you're done, shill his stuff, bro.
Okay, yeah, we can talk some Crypto Sloth. Yeah, that can be done.
Really quick though, before we do, what about the bribe? So
that brings the next topic. I think
it does. Okay, let's talk bribes, boys. It's time.
Let's do it. In fact, you've been working on their protocol for 6 months, but you've been in the chats on YouTube channels talking about bribes for the last 6 months too.
I have, and nobody had any idea why. There's a lot of
I thought you were trolling.
Well, I was trolling, but with
trolling.
Purpose. Artful trolling.
Artful trolling, right.
But now it's clicking now, right? Yeah, this is what it's all about.
It is.
So our protocol, obviously, one of the main focus is controlling those votes in the ecosystem, right?
Yes.
Now, as I've indicated, and as we've seen on Ethereum with the Aura protocol, like there's huge value in controlling these votes. And one of the things that is on the table, we're actually launching a separate protocol that we've forked in the background already. That isn't directly connected to Phux, so it's not it's not part of Phux. It's not. We don't promise anything. This is something that we've been working on. Our protocol is called Bribery, so it's bribery.io, BRI, and then berry.io. Now, Bribery is a bribe protocol that allows you to sell your Phux votes for a bribe to interested parties
for real money.
Yeah. So, and that's every voting cycle, right? So it's like
something like that. I feel like
it's 7 days, and then but there's a 10-day lock. So, but at least several times a month you'd be able to pull this off, right?
Yeah.
Is that Bribery website live?
It's live. I just have you go ahead and take a look. I just have a nice placeholder there because we need, obviously we want Phux to be live to have it work directly. But yeah, we can go to bribeberry.io for a screensaver.
How do you spell it?
BRIBERRY.io.
Gotcha.
And I have my guys working on this in the background. Like my devs are on it.
You guys just have a little placeholder here. Cool.
Yeah. So we're on it, and there's no real tip off about what you're looking at here because this is kind of an insider deal right now. And it's not, like I said, it's not part of the protocol. It's not in our white paper. It's just something that we're gonna do this a little extra. We're under promising. We're definitely over delivering in this case. There's no token for Bribeberry at all. It'll probably charge a small fee. That fee might be directed towards another contract that we're interested in, something like that. But the bottom line is you're going to be able to sell your votes in the Phux ecosystem to either the highest bidder, or you'll be able to go down a list of standing votes. So like a protocol founder or a whale with interest could put up, they could put up a standing bid for votes for their ecosystem, right? So you could take the highest bidder, and these are going for substantial amounts of money on Ethereum, and I think there'll be ups and downs, but people can make up to 5% of their bag in a month. Some months, 1% very consistently. Bribes matter in this case, and this is documented. This isn't
wait. So you're saying that per voting cycle, that 10-year or that 7 to 10 day period, some people are making 1% of their bag.
Sure.
In that voting period.
Yeah. And it's right now, when the market's not really hot, one Aura token, which is, what we're forking, is worth 75 cents. Right. And one token is one vote, and the votes are selling, they're standing bribes available for Aura tokens for 1 penny. Right. So 1 to 75, do that 3-4 times a month. Okay. And that's in a low, right? When things happen, big things happen, new things come out. When serious whales and founders are trying to move the dial on on a pool, that's where that 1 cent can go up to 10 cents, or even I think it's hit 30 cents or something stupid. So
really?
And of course the Aura token and the Phux token in our case will likely go up substantially when things like that are happening as well. But it's real money. So you need to pay attention to it. But it's not always going to be in your interest to take the top bribe, right? Because you can choose which bribe you want to take. The people will sleep on it at first, and then it'll be funny because there'll be some pretty hilarious winners. But when they're not sleeping on it, you'll be able to choose which bribe to take. So you might have 5 protocols offering a bribe. You might take the bribe that's lower but suits your interest because you're involved in that LP pool, right? So especially if you're a small holder, that's definitely have your cake and eat it too scenario. If you're a big holder, if it suits your interests, you might as well take the bribe, right? A lot of the bigger holders will just be voting for themselves, but before you vote, maybe check the bribe page to see if there's a bribe for what you were going to vote for anyway.
Right, just get paid for it.
So, and the founders or whales who are participating in that bribe protocol, well, they're going to be happy to pay you anyway, because it's they're doing, obviously they're getting it at a discount, they're doing it because they receive value. They're welcome to participate in the Phux ecosystem on the other side, and that's the more stable way to ensure that you have a steady supply of of votes for your protocol. But the bribe protocol is going to have ups and downs early on, but it will very quickly become a stable marketplace with pretty much set rates that maybe go up and down for, specific big events, and that will follow the market, right? If the crypto market in general is up 50%, probably bribes are going to be up 50%. It's just going to be a math game, and it's something that's happened before on Ethereum, and that, I think the Pulse chain needs bribes tied up in smart contracts. And the nice part is, and I can't confirm this, this is just a bit of alpha, but we're going to work towards being able to have bribes for other ecosystems in here. The first and most obvious one, like obviously we'll have the 2 Phux token, but also the VE Phux bribes, not that are still locked in on the Phux exchange. Those may be able to participate in our protocol as well, because that's something that's happened on Ethereum. I think we can pull that off. We'll obviously have some work to do there, and that's in process. So if you have locked Prime Phux and you're locked for a year, you can't move it to our ecosystem. That's fine. Maybe you can still sell your votes. So that would be interesting. And maybe some other protocols, maybe 9inch, if they, once their voting system comes out, if it's a VE, any VE voting system should be eligible. And that, that could be other DAOs that are being built right now on the Pulse chain. They could have something there. It doesn't necessarily even have to be about money to be part of the bribe protocol. If people are voting on changing the token logo and, you're a holder in that ecosystem and you really want to change the picture to, a goblin or something, hey, buy up the votes, see what happens. I think that'd be hilarious.
It's almost like an OTC desk in a way. If I'm not like,
what do you mean?
Oh, like it's not. You're trading something off of crypto. It's an over the counter trading desk.
Well, it is. It would all be on chain, right? And it all governed by smart contracts. Like what you're really doing is you're delegating, right? And this is something that's a little trickier. Pulse chain is missing some pieces. There's some protocols that everybody uses on other chains that aren't forked to Pulse chain. So there'll be some workarounds, but like basically, you're delegating your vote via smart contract to another party, which in this case would be the Bribery app, to say, you can sell my token, or you can sell my vote, right? So they don't actually have access to your tokens, but you're selling the voting power of that token in a one-time transaction that you'd have to renew each voting period, right? So it's something that we have to pay attention to. There has to be security concerns, but it's not accessing the token itself. It's just accessing the vote, and that's all it's going to do.
That's why I was thinking like OTC, like over the counter, because it's not like an actual crypto or it's.
I'm open to the idea. Like there could be an OTC component, when's the American election coming up? No, we're not going there.
Right.
We're not doing that.
We're gonna get banned.
How can we sway that in crypto favor?
Yeah, I think I know how, but I don't think I'm gonna say it online. But that's the extra opportunity that guys like Sloth and Squirrel, like they're going to be on top of that, and they're going to understand it. And protocol founders, they should understand it. And I think once the dust settles, you're going to see your top protocols, the teams that care, they're going to be paying attention to that page, and they're going to be helping their community by directing votes. And that'll be, of course, both on the 2 Phux app and the Bribery app. It's 2 ways that people in the community can participate, and help.
It's amazing for founders. That is like you want to track the liquidity come to your pool. Like, let's bootstrap this and get high APY. Like, man, that is amazing.
Yep. Yeah, I really think for the voting part of the protocol.
Right, that's what I mean. Right,
those are our main targets. For the yield part, that's for everybody.
For everybody, and
certainly the voting part. Like as a little guy, like if you're moving around $1,000, like you're gonna get better value here, and you get the liquidity in that you're not permanently you're not staked for a year. You can you have more options. So it's good for the little guy for the options, and it's good for the little guy for the bribes, because you might as well, like when you're talking at. Like anything is better than 1% of your bag in any given month, right? Or like in this case, like from what I can see, from what I looked at yesterday, you're looking at 3% plus on Ethereum. Like, why would you not do that? Like, it's good, and it's what people want. Like they want to pay you for your vote in this case, right? And I'm okay with that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because like I was saying earlier, I don't really feel an effect when I go and do it, right? When I'm going in there and I'm voting and I don't have like little money in there, like only $1,000, I got a little bit of the money in there, and I don't feel like I pull any weight. I'll do something, and then like the next round comes out, and I'm like, I'm making less yield. Like, did I do anything? That's how it feels. Totally. I know I have some weight in there, but I definitely don't in comparison to the whales and sharks.
Yeah. And when we look long term, like when we look at like what's happened on Ethereum with with Aura and them owning 52% of the votes, like if we say in the future, sometime that Phux has $2 million of permanently staked Prime Phux, and if you own 10% of that protocol, it's like and then you get 10% of you own 10% of the Phux tokens. It's like you get 10% of the votes. So it's like you're voting with $200,000 of staked Prime Phux. That would be your equivalent voting power, right? With like full liquidity, with all the options. So especially like given some time, and the protocol automatically buys and builds up that Prime Phux until it's a crazy number, right? Like that's how they're at 52% on Ethereum. So like once we get to we have $2 million of permanently staked Prime Phux, and you own 10% of the Phux tokens,
massive.
And that's on any given day you have $200,000 in voting power, not including the bribes. And of course, like if you have $200,000 in voting power and you can sell that for the bribes, like what's your bribes going to be on a monthly basis, right? Like there's residual bribe income, right? Like this is a thing to the point where on Ethereum, other protocols, like serious protocols, we're talking like Badger DAO, Jones DAO, they've built entire products to wrap these bribes, to compound them into the Aura tokens to get more bribe power. Like those are the players on Ethereum are these huge guys, and they've actually built a third layer. Like we're building a second layer on top of PHUX. They've built a third layer on top of Aura and on top of Convex, which are the second layer. So like people are interested in this. You can look at the history. It's like it's big. So is that something we're going to do? Is that something somebody else is going to do? Yeah. Almost certainly it's going to happen. Like there will be a third layer. Yeah. We'll see. But yeah, the bribes, like that's something that we've made an improvement, because the protocols on Ethereum, like the bribe protocols exist, but they're not part of the same community. They're separate protocols run by separate communities. So the interest they're actually tokenized. Like the protocols that we're forking for the bribes are tokenized. We're not tokenizing this bribe protocol. We have only one protocol that we have that has tokens, and the bribe protocol will likely have some interest in that protocol. So this is an improvement on the initial, and that improvement is actually substantial. Like it will add to the value for the holders of the Phux token in a way that I'm not going to promise, but that like I think the math will be good.
Very cool.
They should pay attention. So right now there's a huge opportunity with our sacrifice. I know people hate I hate sacrifices. I've had good days. I've had bad days. This one is different. We're on top of it. We understand. We promise you nothing. This is sacrifice. You're getting points. But that's it there, Dane.
I mean, for me, my bags, everyone do, it's not financial advice. Obviously, they need Phux. So maybe like if I'm providing liquidity in Phux and I'm earning Phux, maybe I throw that Phux in the sacrifice. I don't know. And maybe. It's my bag, right? No financial advice.
No, that's an interesting point, because we've decided the sacrifice is going to receive like there's a bonus for PHUX tokens in particular. They get a 3% bonus.
You need it.
So we're incentivizing people to sacrifice their PHUX tokens. So if you're providing LP on phux.io, then like you could even DCA into something like this sacrifice using just your daily and weekly yield in PHUX. And to that end, we've supplied a 60-day timeline where you get the maximum possible rate, and we're a couple days into that. But there's still,
unless you hit the 2 million cap, then it's closed.
It's done. Yeah. And we don't even guarantee that. Once we're ready to launch, it's done. So for 60 days, we're providing a 25% early bird bonus. And that's the best possible rate. You haven't missed anything. There is no better rate. Plus, there's a 3% point bonus for PHUX tokens. And then after that 60 days, honestly, I think it's regardless of what happens, like the allocation is set. It doesn't matter whether we hit our target or not. If we do hit our target, we're shutting it down. It's not getting any higher no matter what. Like that point allocation will not change.
Super cool.
It's still going to be, it's still going to launch regardless of what we hit. Like really, we could have, this protocol could have launched without a sacrifice, and that's fine. But I think from what I've described of how the protocol works, you can see where we're going with the concept. And we're incentivizing the PHUX token as it's a token that we have interest in. It's of interest to our ecosystem. We supplied a political statement that you can sacrifice for there up at the top. I think it's a very amicable one. People will agree. And then we've supplied the 60 days rather than the 3 days, 5 minutes, 2 hours where you got a FOMO.
That's the buck fiat way of doing things. You have to get it in the first block.
Yeah.
Get it in the first block, otherwise you get pinned.
So theoretically, what's the biggest bonus multiplier you could get here?
Right
so
now,
if you do all PHUX,
right?
And you get
doing it right now.
All PHUX in the first 60 days, which honestly, I think it's probably going to be the only 60 days because either we're going to fill up or we won't care and we want to launch because I want to use this thing. I want bribes. I want bribes now.
I do too.
Yeah,
let's go.
Let's get on the road. But yeah, I think we will actually fill up because we're, there's people are maybe some people have been slow to go in because we don't really have we didn't do that FOMO. You have 5 minutes to get in the pool. We didn't push it like that. We made it so that you can DCA in without wrecking yourself. Right. And I think overall, we're going to end up with happier customers who've participated in our sacrifice because, we've given time. We're not taxing poor people. And we're giving amicable bonuses for reasonable things that make sense, and it's capped, as well as the number of tokens. It's all capped. It all makes sense. You can do the math. You can figure out what your allocation is. All the details as far as the sacrifice points are there, so people can look into that. They can make a reasonable decision. I would urge them to make that decision before the sacrifices reaches that 60-day point where the 25% bonus on points disappears. Because, I think that's going to be it, regardless of what happens. But yeah, we're ready to. PLS Pump will help with the sack. Yeah, that was actually great timing because when we launched the sacrifice, everybody was so sad. It was terrible.
Right.
It was literally 7 days before the RH, SEC, SAC wallet buying, all that stuff. We were at the lows of the low, right? And it was not a happy time. I think people are going to look at it different now, and they're going to see the opportunity. They're going to see that the timeline is short, and they're going to see that the terms of our sacrifice are reasonable, and that the value in the 2PHUX and the PH ecosystem in general is great. And just like RH was talking about the PH ecosystem, that's why we're building on it. This stuff is solid. These teams are solid, and our team is solid. Yellow Cake and I we're on it, and we're working with top tier devs that are really expensive to make an awesome protocol.
Ukraine devs are good too, man. Ukraine and Russia. I got a buddy who created a real estate software. Him, Dane Robert. And he uses devs out there, and I mean his software is dope. It is dope, and he pays a lot of money for those devs, a lot. Yep. So,
so these guys they're geniuses. If anybody knows real devs, you'll know that most often the protocol founder you're talking to, if he says he's a dev, maybe he is a dev, but if he's speaking in a reasonably quality manner in public, he's probably not the dev. With the exception of guys like Alex, who is actually the dev and does speak fairly well. But these guys are hyper focused. This is the only thing they're interested in. They eat, they sleep code. There's a reason that they're worth so much money, and their price is only going to go up because things are just getting started, of course. But sorry, I digress. The sacrifice is here. There's a limited timeline. I can't guarantee a launch date, but we're looking at getting audits done in the next month or two. And since we're forking code that's been audited, half a dozen times or more, I don't think the audits are going to take a long time.
Paul Sachs, I'll speculate. I would speculate to think right after the SAC is done, they'd probably come out live. I could be wrong, no expectations, but that would be my speculation. That's why they've been building for the last 6 months. They're leading up to this. They're ready. I feel like. I have no idea, but So
I would urge everybody to come and take a look at our Telegram room.
I'm in there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We have a lot of good people in the Telegram room. I'd have you take a look at the list of the people that you're with in that community. And we're only at about 300, but we're really short on plebs. That's the problem. So if you know any plebs, please send them, because everybody's a freaking OG. It's like the whole list of all the OGs on the Pulse chain. And that's why I feel very confident.
I'm a pleb then, because I'm not an OG.
You're a Pulse chain OG, Corey. I think both of you are. I am too at this point. So, but we have some really quality people. We have a lot of founders that are looking at our protocol. I have a lot of discussions behind the scenes. So yeah, the sacrifice is slow right now, but like once it starts rolling, like it could fill up in a day, or a week. $2 million is nothing.
That's a couple big wallets, man, and it's gone.
It's nothing for what it is.
It don't take much.
And theoretically, like a position is relatively cheap on $2 million. You know what I mean? Like,
you wanted the dolphin.
Yeah, like if you wanted a dolphin, I'm not including any of the bonuses, but I mean, even a well position's only 20K. A shark 2K, a dolphin $200.
$100. Yeah, you got to factor bonuses. Maybe you say 3, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You got to go up
maybe $300 in there of the Phux, of the PHUX token, and you're going to have a little bit of something when this thing goes live. And who knows?
And that's all conditioned on us hitting that total too. If we don't hit the $2 million, whatever the number is,
that's true. Because then you're like whatever you're adjusted to, man. Yeah. I know what I'm
nobody
doing.
Sacrifice, just me and Corey, please.
I know what I'm doing with my PHUX tokens. I've been compounding in Shilby Apples. I love the Shilby Apples pool because I know that APY will never go down because I know who controls it. So I keep compounding in there because I know I'm going to keep getting that 95%. Yeah, but I'm like, I can see a different use case for my PHUX token just for a little while. You know what I mean?
You almost get it back in a way, right? Like that voting power. Once the voting power is in the ecosystem, it's in the ecosystem forever. So from the point of view of people who are participating, who are support the PH ecosystem and like the PHUX exchange in particular, like we're building a protocol that's a machine that continuously buys PHUX tokens and never sells them, can't sell them. That's mutable code, right? Yeah, so it'll to the point where it will have 50% or more of the PHU tokens in existence in a period of 2 or 3 years, potentially. Yeah. So there's no downside. And I think this is one of the reasons that we get along fairly well with the PH community guys.
Speaking of that, I know you kind of answered this in the beginning of the show, but do you want to answer it again?
Sure. No, thanks, Brizology, for bringing that up. So to be clear, once again, 2Phux is a separate team and a separate protocol we're building on top of the PHUX exchange. We're in touch with that team. They help us make sure our protocol will be safe when it interacts with their protocol for the users, but they're not, endorsing us publicly. Last night I was listening to a Twitter stream with the famous team, and Buck did mention our protocol, that it existed, that he didn't think it was a rug pull, and that
that's good.
Yeah, that's a great start, and that that he's aware, and he called it by name, and he said like that Yellow Cake and Fast Abdul are building 2Phux on top of the Phux exchange, and he was talking about builders. It was in context at the time, but they're aware, they've acknowledged, they know what the name is, which is another thing that people have asked me, do they know that you're using this name? Yeah, they do, and we've discussed it. Things are amicable. There's no contracts between us, right? Like we're two separate teams, but we both are thinking of the community and building in this ecosystem in a way that should be scalable and that should bring in other communities. Like
it should complement very nicely together. Should.
Yeah. So yeah, Brizology, in answer to your question, yes, the PH team, Buck and Dylan, they have acknowledged that we exist, and they have given the community the opportunity to look at us without endorsing specifically that they are pushing our product, because they can't do that, of course.
Everyone, you still got to do your own due diligence, your own research. We don't know. This is not financial advice. Anything can happen tomorrow. So
Yep, exactly.
Is there a place somewhere that we can see the total amount of money sacrificed to see how close it is to the sacrifice closing out?
Oh, of course, yeah. We're actually well represented on the hexpulse.info website. So
Oh
let's
yeah,
hop
the
over
old
there.
that's an OG site now.
Yeah, it is.
I always forget about that site.
Yeah. Do you want to pull that up, Dane?
Yeah, let me do it right now.
It's a great site because they're hard asses on their rankings. They rank every sacrifice, and they give. There it is. Okay,
Oh, cool.
So you can see we got $100,000. We're just getting started on this sacrifice.
Start,
so
yeah.
there's 45 days left or whatever. Up at the top there, it shows there's three greens and 2 oranges as far as the rankings, and that's the green is the best possible ranking.
Oh yes.
So,
yep.
And just in context, we have a better ranking than Paul Sex, for example. So we're pretty solid. It means that we have a plan. We plan for audits. We have we're forking known protocols. We have known docs devs. We have a docs team. We're not schmucks.
Yeah, I used this protocol back in the day when I was looking at other sacrifices, when I was being a bit of a degen with my sacrifices.
Yeah.
This is what I was using to gauge my okay, at least these guys looked at it, and it shouldn't be a rug pull. It's not guaranteed, guys.
Yep.
Shouldn't be. And so you still, at your own risk, you make your own financial decisions. But that's how, So that's great that they've they've kind of given you the green light. I love that. And
I appreciate those guys. They're solid. And when you look at those rankings and you compare them to past projects, the projects that have all red at the top there, and you notice that we have no red, there's a high rug ratio on the all red projects. Okay, you want to avoid that. The projects that have as much green as we have are relatively few, and there's a very low rug ratio. I'm not guaranteeing that that's the case, but that I have noticed a correlation between the amount of green and the lack of rugging.
Are you saying these green icons up here?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
cool.
So we have 3 greens and 2 orange, and the 2 orange are just ones that are necessities.
They're unsure.
Yeah, it's because we don't have a test net, a public test net, which just nature of the protocol we can't really, because we don't have Phux isn't in testnet, like the Phux.io exchange isn't in testnet, so we can't run our testnet. We're privately running testnets and things like that, actually live on Pulse Chain on some cases where we're interacting with real contracts. So there's stuff going on. And then the other orange is just that we have not been audited yet, and of course that will turn green once we get an audit, which should be in relatively short order, in my opinion.
Very cool. I like it. Are you saying my genie sacrifice was a smart choice? Yeah, we don't give any financial advice here.
Is that still around? Is that a thing anymore?
It is. Yeah.
Is that one of the what do they call what do Crypto 7 call them? Vampire community tokens? I don't know. What of those?
It's another Hex clone. They do have a community. I'll give them that.
I've seen them on Twitter. I know. I'm just giving. Obviously, Paul Sachs is part of the community.
There we go.
Yeah, as far as links, you can go to 2fux.io. I was playing around a little bit with this take a tour button. It's actually really
sharp.
Slick.
Yeah, I like the UI. I mean,
33 different points to be able to note. You can come in here and check everything out. It's slick. I like it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have fun with it. I'll tell you that. No matter what, I'm gonna be playing with it. It's I think this is gonna help bring back to life the way when I first got involved in PHUX. Man, I was printing cash, and then it slowly, it declined. I feel like it's gonna bump me back up again, at least for a short to mid-term. And of course, it might be the same. That's fine, but it's gonna re-engage me and make me excited again, like the early days when PHUX first launched. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, cool. No, I'm with you. Then the long term will be that yields go down, and that's normal.
Yeah.
But these protocols like PHUX and 2Fux in particular, these are going to be bear market proof to a high degree, in my opinion, because when we look at things like those stable pools, Like imagine you ride to the top or close to, we'll say, 20% from the top, one direction or the other, because nobody's perfect. And then you exit, but you exit into stable coins, and then you put the stable coins in some of these pools, and you ride out the entire bear market, making between 30 and 75% on stable coins. Like, what position are you going to be in, right? Like, and like whatever dollar you want, like $1 million in stables, ride that for 2-3 years in a bear market.
Oh, you're retarded.
Like, that's bear market proof, right? And even and you could cut those numbers in half, because maybe because it's the bear market, maybe it goes down to 15%. You're where can you make 15%? That's that low risk, right? There's many places, but with that little risk,
right.
I like it, and we don't guarantee anything with risk. There's, all kinds of disclaimers with smart contracts and stuff, but
it's crypto.
I like it.
Mm-hmm. We know what we're doing here.
And this, whales, like people with serious money, they're not just looking at this cycle. They're looking at what protocols can I invest in?
Yeah, it's true.
That will be around for more than one cycle. And I believe the PHUX fork of Balancer and the 2PHUX fork of Aura and Convex, those are going to be things that will be here for multiple cycles, right? And that people will build on top of again, and that there'll be, bigger and bigger communities as time goes on. This stuff is real, and it's a major part of DeFi. And once people come from Ethereum, the real, the real Ethereum whales, once they start to come over to our ecosystem, these are natural places where they'll land, because these are guys who are calculating risk. They're professionals.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and they're going to come to these places where they can use their whale powers, for one, to control things like votes, and where they can have safe, sustainable yield, which obviously these protocols are made for that.
No, freaking love that. We've been going for almost an hour and a half today. This has been great, Fast Abdul. How do people? What's the link to the In fact, give me the link to the Telegram. I'll put it in the comments. How do people get in touch with you guys?
You bet. I'm just gonna pop it in our private chat here.
Oh yeah, do that, and then I'll put it in the main chat. That'd be perfect. And also, if you want to shield Crypto Sloth stuff, this is the opportunity.
Yeah. So Crypto Sloth, he made a set of NFTs, and we used his NFTs to populate our Telegram room. Initially, we had some contests.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We had so many people come into our Telegram room just for a chance to win Crypto Sloth NFTs. Now, unfortunately, we gave away all our Crypto Sloth NFTs, but they are available on several different NFT sites throughout the Pulse chain. And these things were hot. He only made 369, and they sold out.
Sold out one night.
In less than 8 hours, they were gone.
Ridiculous. I bought 2. And I was going to buy more later because I can't remember what I was doing. I think I was going to cash out some. I can't remember what I was doing. But I bought 2. I was going to come back the next morning and buy another 2. And nope, gone.
Yeah, exactly. I bought 10, and I gave away 9, and 1 is mine. And I'm happy.
Yeah, you got to keep 1.
Because they were $1 million pulse each, and now some have already sold for 5 million pulse.
Right, and pulse is tripled.
100.
Pulse is tripled now.
Yeah,
it's man, what good timing for him to launch a good protocol like that, and right when we're at the bottom. Yep. Oh my gosh.
And there's one more as long as we're talking NFTs, there's one more thing we should probably mention, is that Red Squirrel. Maybe you guys know Red Squirrel.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I think he's around.
I know Red Squirrel.
I've done some work with Red Squirrel. Red Squirrel is launching an NFT project as well. And I won't go into the details.
I better get one of those.
But this is something that this is OG of OG things, is having being part of a Red Squirrel project. So because there's never been one before, but the guy is involved. He's one of the only guys. Really we're kind of frenemies, because
frenemies.
I show up in every YouTube video with my let's talk bribes ideas, and he's there before me almost every time, and it freaking pisses
he's
me
everywhere.
In every Telegram room, I'm I'm going to be first into this new Telegram room, and then a squirrel's in there 2 days before me. There's 8 people in the room, and one of them is Squirrel.
He's everywhere, man.
So the guy is on it. He knows what he's doing. And obviously he has interaction with with crypto sloths and the other smart guys who actually know what's going on. But these guys are the guys you should watch. And when we look at connections with Tetra, which something that 2Phux is honestly made for, like Red Squirrel and Crypto Sloth, they're on Tetra. They understand it. And when you're looking for strategies for 2Phux, and we have a link right on our front page, takes you directly. Will take you directly to our Tetra strategies. A big link. It's really important to us to have that functionality. But these guys, Red Squirrel and Crypto Sloth, those are your experts. So when you start to look at Crypto Sloth NFTs, long term, what are those worth? I don't know. What's he gonna do next? And then Red Squirrel, it's a wild card. What's he gonna do? People should.
These guys have brains that go so deep. I learn from these guys, right? And they have a great way of simplifying things down or road mapping it to where I can understand it. Yeah. And man, these guys they're obsessed. It's going to be great.
And I'm not really an NFT guy. NFTs without utility, that doesn't definitively appeal to me. And meme coins, that's not really my thing. I'm aware of what's going on. I try to keep abreast of what's happening in the community, and neither are Crypto Sloth or Red Squirrel really. So that's what really interests me. It's you have these guys who are they're DeFi guys, deep, like Galaxy Brain DeFi guys who are launching NFT protocols. Wonder why. Maybe I should pay attention. That's all.
Yeah, you should pay attention. That's it.
Yep, love that. It sounds like there will be potentially some options for people that already have locked their Prime Phux, correct?
If you've locked your Prime Phux, then it's locked until the end of that term. So so you can't move it into our protocol, and that's fine. But if you have the votes, which you would obviously, the bribery protocol that I talked about, you may be able to sell your votes for bribes. Now I can't confirm that until we get that part of the development done, but that's something to look at. After your lock comes up, then you could choose to move your Prime Phux into our ecosystem, and then it becomes permanently locked in there. But it doesn't mean that you can't participate. So just because, let's say you have $1,000 in staked stake Prime Phux on phux.io, that's fine. You're making yield on that. It's not a bad thing to have, have that, and then you can participate and still use what is likely our much, much bigger pool. It doesn't mean, if it's more, it's more. Just make the choice based on the numbers is, what I would recommend. Everybody's got to do their own research. But if I have $1 million worth of staked Prime Phux and you have $1,000, and I'll let you use my pool, maybe
exactly.
Take a look, and then you're making yield on your pool. You can even vote towards that pool. I think that'll not always be the best choice, but there's lots of different options on how you can play that.
Crunch the numbers. Just sit down and do the math. That's all you got to do. Just do the math.
Yeah. So I posted the Telegram link for anybody that wants to come check it out in the comments. Heavily recommend go and check it out. Of course, do your own due diligence, all that type of stuff. We don't give any financial advice on this show, so make your own decisions in that respect. And of course, we don't want to ever miss an opportunity to onboard. So, Fast Abdul, why don't you go ahead and take a 30-second stab at this? In fact, this will be a good way we can end this. We just take a 30-second pitch or stab at this and wrap the show up.
Okay, sorry, just to be clear, what am I taking a pitch at?
Oh, sorry, the comment that I put on the screen.
So
what's the use case for crypto other than gambling and speculation? I understand Bitcoin being a medium of exchange, but altcoins like the Pulse chain ecosystem, what's the long-term use case?
You bet. So I think what we have to look at, and crypto is like a male-dominated community. What are we all looking for? What are we really looking for? And I think it's going to come down to just a couple things. And one of the biggest things is going to be freedom, the freedom to choose, right? And the freedom to control your future. So both of these things are something that you can find on the Pulse chain more so than on other ecosystems. And that what we're working with directly, the PHUX exchange and 2Phux, this is all about choice. And I know I talk about bribes and I think it's hilarious, but we're giving you more choices, right? We're giving you more freedom. You get to decide, and I think that's really where the Pulse chain is going and where our protocol is going. and where, you know, everybody in the community, I know I mentioned men and that, you know, like women are obviously applicable, but I think this hits really hard with men, and you see things changing in the political sphere and the ecosystem in all of our countries. And this is your chance. So yeah, make the right choice.
Okay. Corey, you take a stab.
Okay, all right. I'll take a stab at this. So, you know, one of the most favorite things that I love about crypto in general is that it's permissionless. It's one of my favorite words. The word permissionless, because everything in our life we do requires permission. One of Satoshi Nakamoto's first vision of Bitcoin was permissionless money. Well, that's been taken away from us now. It's no longer really permissionless with the ETF being involved and Mr. Gary Gensler and everything else that's going around with the government the control of Bitcoin, where in real DeFi like Pulse Chain, you have node validators all over the world. You can't shut it off unless you shut the internet off all around the world. It truly is still permissionless. And not only that, we forked and took the ideology or the concept over on Ethereum of programmable money. I should be able to program my money, which is what we're doing here in Phux and Phux. I mean, we're just programming money. Here's what we're doing. And that's what I love about it. So now we have permissionless, the first ethos, you know, self-sovereignty, be my own bank, what Bitcoin was supposed to be, which it's not anymore. And then also the programmable money concept that we pulled over from Ethereum. And that's why I love Pulse Chain so much, plus the community. You can fork code, but you can't fork community. The community is the true asset, not the code. And so we have one of the most amazing community you're going to see in all of crypto. Stick around for a while. You'll see that. And that is one of the reasons why in the 30-second that I can think of.
That was perfect. You guys nailed it. The powers that be gave us a big FU during COVID. They gave everyone the bird. They showed exactly their game plan. They showed exactly where their interest lies. They show exactly what they will do. If they have too much ground to take, they're going to take all of it. And you either have an opportunity right now to be able to set yourself free through true freedom, through real programmable money that operates 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, or you can get drug along kicking and screaming and get eaten alive by inflation. And I hate to say it, but over the next 5 years, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be effed. They absolutely are, and they have no idea it's coming. Absolutely no idea.
Lower class and upper class. The middle class there that was once a thing is going away.
Yep.
It's going to be going all like this. You're going to be in one camp or the other. That's the unfortunate truth. And that's the way, the direction we're going.
Yep. And then one last thing with Pulse Chain, we're all here because of Richard. Like, I think it goes without saying, if you haven't seen Richard Hart content, you should go and indoctrinate yourself, brainwash yourself to be able to see the truth. Because, gosh, Richard is building something that is remarkable. He has the game plan to take everybody on a magic carpet ride. He's done it once before. You don't have to be a genius to follow the money again. We're all here for it.
There you go, Brizology.
Yep.
Yeah, there's the shout out from the PH team there. Dylan wants bribes. So
let's do it. That's great. Well, cool. Thanks again, Fast and Duel, for being on today. This has been an excellent show. Thanks for you guys sticking around in the comments. Smash the like, subscribe, all that stuff on your way out. We're here to pump your bags. And with that, catch us tomorrow. We will be here. In fact, Corey, do you want to be? So I've got to take off at noon my time. So I'll be here. We can do a show. You want to do open mic Thursday tomorrow?
Yeah, let's do open mic Thursday. I would love that.
Okay.
And Dylan, man, come on tomorrow. I would love to talk to you during this bull run. Be cool.
Absolutely. Cool, guys. Have a good one.
See you guys. Peace.
Thanks, guys.